The door slammed open. She didn't walk in. She fell in, grabbed the doorframe, caught her breath. Eyes wild, scanning the room like something was right behind her. Please, gasping. He's coming. I don't have time. Please, somebody. Her voice cracked. He said he'll kill me before he lets me go. One hand on the frame, one hand on her stomach. 8 months pregnant, lip bleeding, shirt torn at the shoulder. The whole bar froze, except one table, beer bottle set down slow, chair scrapped back. Hey. She spun toward the voice. You're safe. Breathe. Cole Riker crossed the room. Not fast, not slow. The way a man moves when panic around him doesn't change anything about how he operates. He stopped in front of her, close enough to steady her if she fell, far enough to give her space. Looked at her face, the bruise along her jaw, fresh, the cut on her lip, the ring mark carved into her left wrist, deep red, the kind you get from someone grabbing what they think belongs to them. He'd seen enough. What's your name? She swallowed hard, still breathing fast. Sarah Calloway. Something moved through the room when she said that name. Not loud, just a current. A few men exchanged looks. Because in Red Rock Flats, the name Calloway meant one thing: Grant Harlow's wife. Danny Voss appeared behind the bar without a word. Set a glass of water on the counter, slid it toward her. Sit down, Cole said. Not harsh, not soft, just certain. The way you speak to someone whose legs are about to give out, and they don't know it yet. She looked at the bar stool, like she wasn't sure she deserved it. Then she sat, both hands still on her stomach, shoulders still tight, eyes still on the door. He knows I left, she said, voice dropping now, the panic settling into something worse, the low, steady fear of someone who knows exactly what's coming. I took nothing, no car, no phone, I just ran. But he has people everywhere. It won't take long. Danny looked at Cole. Cole looked at her. How far did you walk? About 4 miles. Maybe more. She paused. I didn't know where else to go. I went to the police. They told me to go home. I called the shelter in Phoenix. They had space, but not until Thursday. I called my sister. She stopped. Looked down at the glass of water. She didn't pick up. The jukebox clicked over to the next song. Nobody was listening to it. The voiceover comes in here. Low, no drama, just straight. 4 miles, 8 months pregnant. In the dark. After the police said no. After the shelter said wait. After the one person who should have answered didn't. She didn't stop. She kept walking. Toward a place everyone in this town told her to stay away from. Because when every door that should open stays shut, sometimes the only one left is the one that was never supposed to be yours. She knocked anyway. Cole turned to Danny. One look. That was enough. Danny was already reaching for his keys. I'll pull the truck around back, he said quietly. Cole turned back to Sarah. You're not going back there tonight. She looked up at him, eyes red, jaw tight, like she was waiting for the catch. Like kindness at this point was just another thing she had learned not to trust. Why are you helping me? She asked. You don't know me. Cole was quiet for a second. I know enough, he said. He nodded toward the back door. Come on, my truck's out back. We move before anyone sees you here. She stood, slowly, one hand on the bar for balance. Then she stopped, turned back to him. He's not going to stop, she said. I need you to understand that. Grant Harlow does not stop. He owns the sheriff. He owns the judge. He owns half this town. Her voice dropped to almost nothing. He told me once, there is nowhere I can go that his money won't get there first. Cole held her gaze. He hasn't been here yet, he said. He pushed the back door open. Cool night air rolled in, carrying the smell of sand and motor oil and something that felt, for the first time in a long time, like it might be safe. Sarah Calloway looked at that open door. Then she walked through it, the voiceover quiet like an exhale. She didn't know what was waiting on the other side of that door. She didn't know these men, didn't know their rules, didn't know what helping her was going to cost them. But she walked through anyway, because $40, 4 miles, and one open door was more than she'd had an hour ago. The truck ride was quiet. Danny drove. Cole sat in the passenger seat. Sarah sat in the back, one hand on the door handle like she still hadn't fully decided whether this was safe, and one hand on her stomach like she had already decided that part didn't matter. Nobody talked. The desert road stretched out ahead in the headlights, flat, empty, going nowhere fast. The kind of road that makes you feel like the world just ended a few miles back, and you're driving through what's left of it. Sarah watched the darkness outside the window. Then she looked down at her hands. The ring caught the light from a passing road sign. Gold band, single diamond, the kind that costs more than most people make in a year. She turned it once around her finger, slowly, not like she was admiring it, like she was trying to figure out how something that used to mean everything now meant nothing at all. The voiceover easy and low. She still wore it, not because she believed in it anymore. That part had been gone a long time. She wore it because somewhere along the way, taking it off had started to feel like something she needed permission for, and she had never gotten that permission. Not yet, Cole noticed. He didn't say anything, just caught the movement in the side mirror, watched her turn that ring once, twice, then press her hand flat against her stomach again. He turned back to the road. Outside, the desert slid past in silence, and in his jacket pocket, a photograph. He hadn't taken it out in months, but he knew exactly what it looked like. He didn't need to look at it to see it. A woman, laughing, sunshine behind her. One hand raised against the light, squinting at the camera like she hadn't expected it. The other hand resting on a stomach, just beginning to show. On the back, in handwriting that slanted slightly to the right, "Come home safe. We'll be waiting." She waited. For 11 months she waited. He came home. She didn't come to the door. He thought she was out. He dropped his bag in the hallway and called her name and got nothing back but the sound of an empty house. It took him 3 days to find out why. Her husband, a man with money and a temper, and the right people looking the other way, had made sure she couldn't wait anymore. Cole never talked about this, not to Danny, not to Wade, not to anyone. But some things you carry so long, they stop feeling like a weight and start feeling like part of your bones. The voiceover, quieter now. People ask why a man like Cole Riker does what he does, why he opens doors that cost him something, why he puts himself between people and the thing coming for them. He never answers that question. But I'll tell you, it's not because he's fearless. It's not because he's looking for a fight. It's because he knows exactly what it looks like when someone runs out of time. He saw it once before, and he didn't move fast enough. He's been moving ever since. Danny pulled the truck off the main road, through a gate, down a dirt path lined with dry brush and the distant outline of a low ranch building, lights on in 2 windows, a row of motorcycles parked alongside wall like sleeping animals. Riker Ranch. Sarah leaned forward slightly, looking through the windshield. "This is where you live?" "Home base," Danny said. "Safest place in this county right now." She looked at the building, the lights, the bikes. "He'll find me here," she said. Flat, not dramatic. Just certain, the way people are certain about things they've learned the hard way. Cole opened the truck door. "Probably," he said. He stepped out, turned back to her. "But he'll find something waiting for him when he does." He walked toward the front door without looking back. Sarah sat there another second. Then she looked down at the ring one more time, turned it once around her finger, and got out of the truck. The voiceover, slow. She didn't take the ring off that night, but she thought about it for the first time. And sometimes, that's how it starts. Not with a decision, just with a thought. Maybe I'm allowed to. 3 weeks earlier, Sarah Calloway was sitting in a police station at 2 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. Plastic chair, fluorescent light humming overhead, a poster on the wall about domestic violence awareness with a hotline number at the bottom that she had already called twice. Nobody picked up either time. She had a split lip, a bruise forming along her left jaw, and a story she had rehearsed in the car on the way over. Not because it wasn't true, because she had learned the hard way that the truth needed to be organized before you handed it to someone who might not want to hear it. The officer behind the desk looked up, young, clean uniform, the kind of face that still believed in the job. Name? Sarah Calloway. The typing stopped. He looked up from the keyboard. Slower this time. Calloway. Not a question. As in, Grant Harlow's wife? She held his gaze. Yes. He leaned back in his chair, just slightly, just enough. The voiceover, flat and steady. That's all it took. One name, 2 syllables. And the whole room changed temperature. He didn't tell her to leave. He was too professional for that. He took her name, took her number, told her someone would follow up. Offered her a card with the same hotline number that nobody answered. She was back in her car in 11 minutes. She called the shelter in Phoenix that evening. A woman answered, kind voice, patient, the kind of person who had heard everything and somehow still showed up to work every morning. They had space, 1 bed, available Thursday. Sarah looked at the calendar on her phone. Thursday was 4 days away. Can I come sooner? She asked. I'm so sorry, honey. We're full until then. She thanked the woman and hung up. 4 days. She could survive 4 days. She had survived 3 years. 4 days was nothing. Except that night, Grant came home early, and 4 days became a number that no longer meant anything. She called her sister from the bathroom. Door locked, shower running, phone pressed flat against her ear. It rang again, 6 times. Voicemail. She hung up, texted, watched the screen show delivered. Watched it stay delivered. She called back. Voicemail again. The voiceover. Quiet. She used to wonder about that. For a long time she made excuses. Her sister was busy. Her sister didn't know how bad it was. Her sister would have picked up if she'd known. Maybe. But here's what she learned. And it took her too long to learn it. Some people don't pick up because they don't know what to say. Some people don't pick up because they don't want to get involved. And some people don't pick up because getting involved means standing up to someone powerful. And that's expensive. Most people aren't willing to pay that price. It doesn't make them bad people. It just means you're alone. She tried one more number. Her pastor, the man who married them, who stood at the altar and looked at her like she was the luckiest woman alive for finding Grant Harlow. He picked up on the second ring. She told him everything, voice steady, hands shaking, sitting on the bathroom floor with the shower still running so nobody could hear. He listened, really listened. Let her finish without interrupting. Then he said, "Sarah, marriage is sacred. Have you considered that Grant might be going through something difficult right now? That he might need your support?" She stared at the bathroom tiles for a long time after that. "He hit me," she said. "I'm 8 months pregnant and he hit me." A pause. "I'll pray for your family," he said. She hung up. The voiceover. I want to say that was the moment she gave up on the system. But it wasn't. She still had one more door. She always gave people one more chance than they deserved. The lawyer's office was on the second floor of a building downtown. Clean carpet, framed degrees on the wall, a man in a good suit who shook her hand too firmly and smiled too easily. She laid it all out, the bruises, the pattern. The dates she had written down in a notebook she kept hidden inside a winter coat Grant never touched. He listened, nodded, made notes. Then he opened a drawer and slid a fee agreement across the desk. $50,000 retainer. She looked at the number. "I don't have access to that kind of money," she said. "He controls all the accounts." The lawyer nodded slowly, put his pen down. "Mrs. Calloway," he said, "I'm going to be honest with you. Grant Harlow has 3 attorneys on retainer who do nothing but handle situations like this. Whatever we file, they bury. Whatever we argue, they counter. I've seen it before." A pause. "Without significant resources, this is going to be a very difficult road." She stood up, thanked him, walked back to her car, sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes without starting the engine. The voiceover, slow. 6 doors, police, shelter, sister, hotline, pastor, lawyer. 6 doors, all closed, not slammed. That would have been easier. Just, quietly, politely, firmly closed. Like she was a problem that nobody had the budget for. She heard it by accident. 2 of Grant's men, outside the kitchen window, early evening. Thinking she was upstairs, she was standing at the kitchen sink, still as furniture. One of them was complaining about something. The other one laughed, then lowered his voice, like men do when they're saying something they think is funny. But no, they shouldn't. You know what I always say? You want to disappear in this county, there's one place Grant Harlow won't follow. One place his money doesn't work. Where's that? Riker Ranch. Iron Vow Boys. Cole Riker's place out past the freight road. A pause. But you'd have to be out of your damn mind to walk in there. They moved away. Their voices faded. Sarah stood at the sink, staring at the water still running over her hands. The voiceover out of her mind. She turned that phrase over a few times. Out of her mind. She looked around the kitchen. The marble countertops Grant had chosen. The cabinet handles she wasn't allowed to change. The chair at the head of the table that was always his. The house that looked like a home and felt like a sentence. She turned the faucet off, dried her hands, and started thinking about the freight road. She left 3 nights later. No bag, no car, no phone after she left it on the counter because she knew he could track it. $40 in cash from a paperback book on the 3rd shelf. Grant didn't read. She had counted on that for 2 years. She walked out the back door at 11:47 at night. No lights on, no sound from upstairs. 4 miles of desert road between her and the only door she hadn't tried yet. The voiceover almost a whisper. She wasn't brave. She was just out of options. And sometimes that's the same thing. The freight road ended where the pavement gave up. Just stopped. Like whoever built it ran out of reasons to keep going. After that, it was dirt and gravel and the kind of darkness that only exists this far from town, where the nearest streetlight is 3 miles back and the sky is so clear it almost hurts to look at. Sarah walked, one hand on her stomach, one arm across her chest against the cold, boots crunching on gravel, breathing slow and deliberate the way her doctor had taught her. In through the nose, out through the mouth, keep the heart rate down. Her heart rate was not down. The voiceover steady. 4 miles sounds like nothing until you're walking it. Alone, in the dark, 8 months pregnant, with the feeling that every set of headlights coming up behind you might be him. 3 cars passed her on that road. None of them stopped. She wasn't sure if that was good or bad. She smelled the ranch before she saw it. Motor oil, cigarette smoke, the faint metallic tang of machinery left out in the night air. Then the lights, low and amber through the trees, the kind of lights that mean people are still awake inside. Then the gate, chain link, heavy, a sign zip-tied to the middle that said "Private," no trespassing in letters that meant it. And beyond it, the ranch. Low building, wide porch, 2 windows lit up warm. A row of motorcycles along the side wall, 8 of them, lined up like they were waiting for something. Sarah stood at that gate for a long time. The voiceover, this was the moment. Right here. She could turn around, walk back to the main road, flag down a car, call someone, anyone, figure something else out. She stood there and she thought about all of that. Then she thought about Thursday, about the shelter bed that would go to someone else, about the officer who stopped typing when he heard her name, about 6 rings and a voicemail, and a pastor who said he'd pray for her family. She pushed the gate open. She made it to the porch steps before the door opened. Not Cole, not Danny, a woman, late 30s, dark hair pulled back loose, a dish towel over one shoulder, and reading glasses pushed up on her forehead, like she'd forgotten they were there. She was holding a mug of something hot, coffee or tea. Steam rising in the cold air, and she looked at Sarah the way people look at something that doesn't quite fit the picture they were expecting. Not afraid, not suspicious, just taking it in. Her eyes moved quickly. The bruise, the torn shirt, the stomach, the boots covered in dust from 4 miles of freight road. She set the mug down on the porch railing. "How far did you walk?" she asked. Not hello, not who are you, just that. Sarah blinked. About 4 miles. The woman nodded once, like that confirmed something she'd already suspected. "Come inside," she said. "You need to sit down before your legs decide to do it for you." She held the door open. Sarah didn't move right away. "I need to speak to Cole Riker," she said. "Is he here?" "He's here." The woman tilted her head slightly. "But you need to eat something first. Whatever you came to say will still be true in 10 minutes. The voiceover, soft. There is a specific kind of kindness that doesn't ask questions first. That just moves, opens doors, puts food on the table, deals with the details later. Sarah had forgotten that kind of kindness existed. She stepped inside. The kitchen was warm, not fancy. not trying to be. A long wooden table with mismatched chairs, a shelf of cookbooks with cracked spines, a child's drawing stuck to the fridge with a magnet, a motorcycle, a house, two stick figures outside, one much taller than the other. It smelled like something had been cooking all evening. Something with garlic and onion and the kind of slow heat that means someone was home all day. Sarah sat down at the table. Her legs were grateful. The woman moved around the kitchen without fuss, poured a glass of water, set it down, then a bowl of something, thick soup, still warm from the stove, bread on the side. "Eat," she said simply. Sarah looked at the food. Her throat tightened. She couldn't remember the last time someone had put food in front of her, and the only thing attached to it was eat. No performance, no obligation, no debt being quietly accumulated, just eat. She picked up the spoon. The woman sat down across from her, pulled her reading glasses off her head and set them on the table, wrapped both hands around her mug. "I'm Elena," she said. "Danny's wife." "Sarah." "I know," Elena said it gently. "Word travels in a small town, especially when the wrong people are listening." Sarah looked up. "He's already asking around." "He will be by morning." Elena's voice was calm, not cold. The calm of someone who has learned that panic doesn't change outcomes, preparation does. "That's why Cole will want to talk tonight." Sarah nodded, looked back at the soup, ate another spoonful. The silence between them was comfortable in a way that surprised her. Not awkward, not loaded. Just two women sitting at a kitchen table late at night with a lot of things unsaid and no rush to say them. Then Elena spoke, quiet, looking at her mug. "Can I tell you something?" Sarah looked up. "I used to sit at a table like this," Elena said. "Different kitchen, different town, same feeling." She turned the mug slowly in her hands, like you're waiting for permission to exist. Sarah was very still. "Danny was the first person who said something to me that I didn't know I needed to hear." Elena looked up. "He said, 'I don't need you to be strong. I don't need you to be okay. I just need you to still be here tomorrow.'" She paused. "That's it. That's all he said." The voiceover, barely above a whisper. "Still be here tomorrow. Not brave, not healed, not figured out. Just here." Sarah stared at the bowl in front of her, felt something loosen in her chest that had been locked tight for so long she had stopped noticing the weight of it. She pressed her lips together, kept eating. Cole came in from the back 10 minutes later, Danny behind him, both of them smelling like engine oil and cold night air. Cole looked at Sarah at the table, looked at Elena, got whatever he needed from that one exchange. "She tell you why she's here?" he asked Elena. "She didn't need to," Elena said. Cole pulled out a chair, sat down across from Sarah, folded his hands on the table. "Tell me about Grant Harlow," he said. And Sarah Calloway set her spoon down and started talking. The voiceover, low and slow, like the closing of a long chapter. She had told this story before, to the police, to the lawyer, to the pastor, to the voicemail of a sister who didn't call back. Every time, she had watched the listener's face for the moment they started deciding it was too complicated, too dangerous, too expensive. This time she watched Cole Riker's face. He didn't look away once. Cole listened without interrupting. Sarah talked for 20 minutes straight. The first hit, the locked doors, the officer who stopped typing when he heard her name, the pastor, the lawyer, the sister who never called back. When she finished, the kitchen was quiet. Cole looked at his hands on the table for a moment. Just one moment. Then he looked up. Does he know that you being pregnant changes nothing for him? Sarah held his gaze. Yes, she said. Cole nodded, stood up. You're staying here tonight. Danny, back room. He walked out to the porch without another word. The voiceover, easy. Some people make decisions out loud. They talk it through. List the reasons. Look for reassurance. Cole Riker made decisions the way he did everything else. Quietly. Finally, without needing anyone to agree. After midnight, when the ranch had gone still, and Sarah was asleep in the back room, and Elena and Danny's light was off down the hall, Cole sat alone on the porch steps. Boots on the gravel, a cigarette burning low, the desert stretching out ahead of him. Flat and silent, a sky full of stars that didn't care about any of this one way or the other. He reached into his jacket pocket and took out the photograph. He didn't need light to see it. He'd looked at it enough times that it lived somewhere behind his eyes, now. Permanent. The way a scar stops being something you notice and starts being something you just are. A woman, laughing at something off camera, sunlight behind her, one hand raised against the glare, the other resting on a stomach just beginning to show. On the back, handwriting that slanted slightly to the right. Come home safe. We'll be waiting. R. Rachel. He came home. She wasn't there. He never got the full story. Not that night. Some things you only understand when someone finally trusts you enough to tell them. Some questions he stopped asking a long time ago. He folded the photograph, put it back, looked out at the dark. The voiceover, almost a whisper. He didn't help Sarah Calloway because he was a good man. Maybe he was. That's not the point. He helped her because he knew exactly what it looked like when someone was running out of time. He'd seen that clock before. He wasn't going to watch it run out again. Across town, at the same hour, in a study on the top floor of a house that sat on a hill above Red Rock Flats, the way money always sits, high enough to look down, far enough away, not to smell anything unpleasant. Grant Harlow was listening to a voice on the phone. He was not drunk. That was important to understand about Grant. He was never drunk when things happened, always completely, carefully, disturbingly sober. He listened, set the phone down, poured himself 2 fingers of bourbon, and smiled. Not the smile of a man who was angry, the smile of a man who had just been handed a reason to do something he was already looking for a reason to do. She went to the bikers, he said quietly. To no one. Interesting. Here is what most people in Red Rock Flats never understood about Grant Harlow, and what Sarah had learned too slowly, too painfully, and at too high a cost. He was not a man who lost his temper. He was a man who saved it. The first time he hit her, she had mentioned calling a friend from college. Something small. He had smiled, asked her to repeat it, and then, without raising his voice, without any of the warning signs she had been told to watch for, he hit her. Clean, deliberate, like it had been decided long before she said anything. He helped her up afterward, held her face gently in both hands. You made me do that, he said. Don't make me that man again. She believed him, because she didn't yet understand. The most dangerous thing about Grant Harlow was never his anger. It was his patience. He picked up his phone, dialed. Find everything on Cole Riker. Property, priors, people he cares about. A pause. And get me Earl Sutter. Tell him I have a job. He hung up, looked out at the town below. Quiet, satisfied. the way a man looks when the game has just gotten more interesting. Sarah woke up the next morning and didn't know where she was. That first second, ceiling she didn't recognize, light coming in at the wrong angle, smell of coffee from somewhere down the hall. Her whole body tensed. Then she remembered, and something she hadn't felt in 3 years settled over her like a blanket. Quiet, not silence. Quiet, there is a difference. Silence is the absence of sound. Quiet is the absence of threat. She lay there for a moment, just breathing it in. Her hand moved to her stomach. The baby shifted. A slow roll, easy, like he was waking up too. "I know," she whispered. "Me too." She got up, pulled on the shirt Elena had left folded on the chair, walked to the window. The desert outside was gold in the early light. Dry brush and red rock, and that long, flat horizon, doing what it always did, going on forever without explaining itself. Elena appeared in the doorway with a mug of coffee, set it on the sill without a word. They stood together at the window, the comfortable quiet of two women who don't need to fill every silence. Then Sarah saw it, far out past the fence line, half hidden behind dry brush at the edge of the road. A car, dark, parked at an angle that wasn't quite casual. The kind of park that means someone is trying to look like they're not watching, while watching. "Elena." "I see it," Elena said, already calm, already knowing. "How long?" "Cole spotted it about an hour ago." Sarah turned. "He didn't wake me. He said you needed the sleep more than you needed the worry." Elena looked at her steady. "He's already on it." Outside, the car hadn't moved. The voiceover low and slow. She had one morning of quiet, of gold light and coffee, and her baby moving easy against her ribs. One morning of not being afraid. It lasted about as long as good things last when the wrong people know where you are. But she remembered it. Even later, even after everything that came after, she held on to that one morning. Sometimes one morning is enough to keep going. The car was still there at 9 in the morning. Cole stood at the fence line with a cup of coffee, looking at it the way a man looks at something he's already made his mind up about. Danny came up beside him, said nothing for a moment. "Harlow's, has to be. You want me to go out there?" "Not yet," Cole said. "Let him watch." Watching means he's not moving. The moment he stops watching is when we pay attention. He turned back toward the house. "Make sure Sarah stays away from the windows today." Inside, Sarah was at the kitchen table with Elena, both hands wrapped around a mug, listening to the baby kick against her ribs, like he had somewhere to be. She had slept 12 hours, eaten a real breakfast for the first time in weeks. The bruise on her jaw had started to fade at the edges, still there, still dark in the middle, but the edges going soft and yellow the way bruises do when the body finally gets a chance to heal. She looked better. She didn't feel safe yet, but she looked better. That was something. The voiceover, steady. There is a version of this story where things calmed down after that first morning, where Grant Harlow decided it wasn't worth the trouble, where the car drove away and didn't come back, and Sarah Calloway got to sit in that kitchen and drink coffee and let her bruises fade in peace. That's not this story. The cruiser came just after 11. No sirens. Just the slow crunch of tires on gravel and the flash of light bar. Not urgent, not emergency. The kind of lights that say this is official without saying this is a crisis. 2 of them. Red Rock Flats Sheriff's Department printed on the doors in clean white letters. Cole was on the porch when they pulled up. He didn't move toward them, didn't move away. Just stood there with his coffee, watching them get out the way you watch weather coming in. Noting it, calculating it, not particularly impressed. The older one came around the hood first. Square jaw, mirrored sunglasses even in the flat morning light. A clipboard under one arm that was doing a lot of work trying to make this look routine. Earl Sutter. 22 years with the department, the kind of cop who had been on the right side of the law long enough to know exactly how to use it for the wrong reasons. Sarah recognized him the moment she saw him through the window. Her face went still. "That's the one," she said quietly to Elena. "That's the one who told me to go home." Elena put a hand on her arm. "Stay back from the glass." Outside, Sutter stopped at the base of the porch steps, looked up at Cole with the particular expression of a man who has been told he has authority and has decided to believe it completely. "Morning. We got a report of a missing person, woman matching a description, 8 months pregnant, brown hair. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that?" Cole looked at him. "I wouldn't." Sutter smiled. The kind of smile that doesn't reach anything above the mouth. "Mind if we take a look around? Just routine." "You got a warrant?" "This is a wellness check, sir." "We don't need." "You need a warrant to come onto my property," Cole said. Flat. Conversational, like he was explaining something to someone who should already know it. Wellness check or otherwise. The younger deputy shifted his weight behind Sutter, hand drifting, not grabbing, just drifting, toward his belt. Cole noticed. "Your man there wants to think carefully about where his hand is going," Cole said. Still the same tone. Still the same flat, conversational certainty. The younger deputy went very still. Sutter took one step up onto the porch. "Mr. Riker, I'm going to be straight with you. Her husband filed an emergency petition this morning. Says she's mentally unstable. Says she's a danger to herself and the baby. Now, I'm just doing my job here." "Her husband," Cole said. "Sent you, not a question." Sutter's jaw tightened slightly. "I'm acting on a legal petition filed with the county." "He sent you," Cole said again. Same words, same tone, slower this time. The silence between them stretched. The voiceover, low. "There is a thing that happens when a man who has been bought tries to stand in front of a man who hasn't. The bought man always knows it. Even behind the sunglasses and the clipboard and the 22 years of department authority, Earl Sutter knew it, and Cole Riker knew that he knew it, which made the silence mean everything. Sutter stepped back down off the porch. "I'll be back with paperwork," he said. "You do that," Cole said. "Bring a judge's signature this time." The cruisers reversed down the dirt road. Slow, the way people leave when they want you to know they're coming back. Danny appeared beside Cole. "He'll be back by tonight," Danny said. "I know. With more than paperwork." "I know that too." Cole set his coffee cup on the porch railing, looked down the road at the dust, still settling where the cruisers had been. "Get Wade on the phone," he said. "Tell him we might need the Silver Peak boys down here sooner than we thought." He turned back toward the house. Inside, Sarah was standing in the hallway. She had heard everything. "He's not going to stop," she said. Voice steady, not panicking, just stating the thing she had always known, the thing she had been trying to explain to every person who hadn't listened. Cole looked at her. "No," he said. "He's not." She waited for the rest. But neither are we. The voiceover, quiet and even. She had said those exact words, "He's not going to stop," to 6 different people over 3 years. Every single one of them had responded with some version of "maybe it'll calm down. Maybe if you just, maybe give it time." Cole Riker was the first person who said, "Yes, you're right. He won't stop," and then told her what they were going to do about it. Sometimes being believed is the whole thing. Sometimes that's where everything starts to change. That evening, the sky changed color. Not dramatically, just the light went from gold to something darker, something with weight behind it. The kind of sky that people who grow up in the desert learn to read the way sailors read water. Cole stood on the porch and looked at it for a long time without saying anything. Storm coming. Maybe tonight. Maybe tomorrow morning. Either way, coming. Inside, Elena had made dinner. The 4 of them sat around the kitchen table. Cole, Danny, Elena, Sarah, and ate without talking much. Not uncomfortable silence. The kind of silence that settles over people who have spent the day being careful and are tired from it. Sarah watched Cole across the table. He ate slowly, eyes moving to the window every few minutes. Not anxious, just tracking. The way a man tracks things when he's learned that the world doesn't always announce itself before it arrives. After dinner, Danny and Elena cleaned up. Sarah walked out to the porch. Cole was already there. She sat down on the top step, looked out at the desert, going dark under that heavy sky. The air smelled different tonight, charged, like something was being decided out there in the atmosphere that nobody had been consulted about. "Can I ask you something?" she said. Cole lit a cigarette. "Go ahead. Why does this feel personal to you?" He was quiet for a moment, smoke drifting up slow in the still air. "What makes you think it does?" "The way you looked at me in the bar," she said. "When I walked in, most people looked at me like a problem. You looked at me like you already knew the end of the story." Cole looked out at the horizon. A long moment passed. He reached into his jacket pocket, took out the photograph, held it out to her without explanation. She took it, looked at it in the fading light, the woman, laughing. The hand on the stomach, the handwriting on the back. She looked up at him. He took the photograph back, put it away. "Her name was Rachel," he said. "I was overseas when it happened. By the time I got back," he stopped, exhaled smoke slowly. "By the time I got back, there was nothing left to do." Sarah was very still. "I'm sorry," she said. "Don't be," he said, not harshly. "Just closing a door gently. Just don't let me be sorry again." The voiceover, slow. He didn't say anything else after that. He didn't need to, because Sarah Calloway understood in that moment, completely and without any further explanation, that she was not just a woman Cole Riker had decided to help. She was the thing he was getting right this time. And that meant Grant Harlow wasn't just fighting a biker and his crew. He was fighting a man with a debt he'd been carrying for years. Those are the most dangerous men in the world. Not the ones who fight because they're angry. The ones who fight because they're finally, after a long time, fighting for something that matters. They sat in silence for a while. After that, the desert wind picking up. The first distant flicker of lightning somewhere far out over the flats. Still too far to hear, just light. A slow pulse on the horizon, like something breathing. "He'll come tonight," Sarah said. "Not a question." "Maybe," Cole said. "Maybe tomorrow. What do we do?" "We stay ready," he said. and we don't let him choose the moment. She looked at her hands. The ring still there on her left hand. She turned it once, slowly, and looked at it like she was seeing it for the first time and the last time at the same moment. Cole noticed, said nothing. She didn't take it off, not yet, but her hand stayed still after that, like she had made a small, quiet decision that didn't need to be announced. The voiceover, barely there. Some decisions don't happen all at once. They happen the way the desert changes, so slowly you don't notice until the light is completely different. And you realize you've been watching the whole thing without knowing it. It was Danny who saw the headlights first. He came to the back door quietly, voice low. Cole, 2 vehicles, far end of the freight road. Parked with the lights off, but I saw them sweep once before they cut. Cole stood up. How long? 10 minutes, maybe less. Cole looked at Sarah. She had heard. Her jaw was set, hands pressed flat against her stomach. That tight hold again, the one that meant she was protecting what mattered most and had already decided everything else was secondary. "Get inside," Cole said. "Elena's with you. I'm not going to hide in a back room while..." "Sarah." His voice was quiet. "I need to know you're safe so I can focus on what's out there. That's not hiding. That's strategy." She held his gaze for a moment. Then she went inside. Cole turned to Danny. "Wake everybody up," he said. "Quiet, no lights." Danny was already moving. Cole stood alone on the porch for one more moment. The lightning was closer now. The thunder arriving behind it. Low, rolling, still unhurried. The wind had picked up enough to carry dust across the yard in thin, pale ribbons. The voiceover, steady as a heartbeat. He had been in places where the air felt like this before. Right before everything changed, the desert had gone the kind of quiet that isn't peaceful. It's the quiet of something about to break open, and Cole Riker stood in the middle of it. Boots on the porch, hand on the railing, and waited. The rain came without warning. One moment the air was dry and charged and full of that particular desert stillness. The next, the sky just opened. Heavy, fast, the kind of rain that doesn't build up gradually, but arrives all at once, like it had been waiting just above the clouds and finally ran out of patience. The lights went out 3 minutes later. Not a flicker, just out. The whole ranch going dark in an instant. The warm amber of the kitchen windows replaced by nothing. In the back room, Sarah sat up straight in the dark. She could hear the rain hammering the roof. Could hear the wind. Could hear, underneath all of that, the sound of boots moving fast across the porch side. Then, a voice, low, urgent. "Danny, they're moving." Cole was already at the front window when the first beam of light swept across the yard. Not headlights, flashlights. 4 of them. Moving in from the east side of the property, low and fast. The way people move when they're trying to cover ground before someone sees them. They hadn't counted on Cole seeing them before the lights went out. "Back door," he said to Danny. "Now." Danny moved. Cole crossed the room to where Sarah was standing in the hallway. Because, of course, she wasn't in the back room. Of course, she hadn't stayed there. Both hands on her stomach, eyes adjusted to the dark, jaw set. He didn't waste time being frustrated about it. "Stay behind me," he said. "Whatever happens, stay behind me." She nodded. The first window broke. Not shattering, more like a clean punch through glass, deliberate. The sound of it swallowed almost immediately by the rain. Then boots on the kitchen floor. Then a voice, rough, businesslike, find her. The voiceover, stripped down, no decoration. In the movies, this is where the music swells, where everything slows down and becomes cinematic and beautiful in its violence. It wasn't like that. It was dark and loud and fast, and Sarah's heart was doing something she had never felt before. Not quite fear, past fear, something on the other side of fear, where the body just decides to function, because stopping is not an option. Cole moved her back against the hallway wall, stepped in front of her. The darkness was almost total, just the thin grey light coming through the rain-hammered windows. A figure appeared at the end of the hallway, big, masked, moving with the confidence of someone who had done this before and expected it to be simple. Cole hit him before he finished his first step. Not a warning, not a confrontation, just fast, efficient. The way a man moves when he stopped having anything to prove a long time ago. 2 strikes. The figure went down hard against the wall and stayed there. From the kitchen, the sound of Danny and another man. Brief, loud, then quiet. Sarah pressed her back flat against the wall, baby pressing back against her ribs from the inside, like he was bracing for something too. "Cole, still here," he said, right beside her. "Keep breathing." Then, from outside, a voice that cut through the rain and the darkness and the sound of everything falling apart. Calm, clear, almost gentle. Cole Riker. Grant Harlow. Not shouted, just projected. The voice of a man who had never needed to raise it to be heard. Cole moved to the window. Sarah followed. Grant was standing in the yard, rain soaking through his jacket, a gun at his side, not raised, just held, relaxed, like a man who had all the time in the world because he had already decided how this ended. 2 men behind him, more somewhere in the dark. "I'm not here for you," Grant called. "Send her out, we go home. Nobody has to make this complicated." Cole said nothing. Grant smiled. Even in the rain, even at that distance, Sarah could see it. "She's my wife," he said. "She's carrying my child. Whatever she told you, she needs help. She's not well. You're not helping her by keeping her here. You're just..." "She walked 4 miles in the dark to get away from you," Cole said through the window. Flat. Conversational. 8 months pregnant. 4 miles. Grant's smile didn't move. "Send her out, Cole." "No." The voiceover, low that word. Just that one word. "No." Sarah had been waiting 3 years for someone to say it, not to her. She knew how to say it. She had said it plenty of times and learned exactly what it cost her. She needed someone to say it to him, and mean it, and not take it back. Grant raised the gun. The shot went wide, whether he meant it to or not, and Cole pulled Sarah down below the window line. Glass above them, rain coming through. "Back door," Cole said. "Move." They moved through the dark house fast. Cole's hand on her arm, not dragging, guiding, the difference between those 2 things mattering more than it sounds. Through the kitchen, past Danny, who was already at the back door, past Elena, who had Sarah's jacket in her hands and was holding it out without being asked. The back door opened into the rain, cold, immediate, the kind of wet that reaches you in under a second. They crossed the yard to the garage. Cole got the side door open. Sarah inside, Elena beside her. And then, in the gap between one thunderclap and the next, Sarah grabbed Cole's arm. "Wait," she said. He stopped. She was breathing hard. Rain in her hair, eyes steady. "I'm not hiding in here while you..." "Sarah, listen to me." Her voice was shaking, but her eyes weren't. "He's going to keep coming." You know that. I know that. There is no back room safe enough, no garage locked enough, no. She stopped, pressed her lips together. I need this to end. Not just tonight, for good. Cole looked at her for a long moment. The rain hammered the garage roof above them. Then we end it, he said. But not with bullets. She frowned slightly. How? He looked at her steady. We take everything he's built, Cole said. And we hand it to the one person he forgot to buy. The voiceover, quiet and certain. She had come here looking for men who weren't afraid of Grant Harlow. She found something better. Men who had already figured out that fear was never the point. The point was, what do you do when the fear runs out? You get smart. You get evidence. And you make sure the right people see it. Outside, Grant's voice came through the rain one more time. Still calm, still certain. Last chance, Cole. Cole looked at Sarah. She nodded once. He turned back to Danny. Get Wade on the phone, he said. Tell him to bring the Silver Peak boys. And tell him to bring Maya Reeves' number. The detective? The one person in this state Grant Harlow forgot to pay, Cole said. He looked back at the rain coming through the open door. Let him think he's winning tonight, he said quietly. By tomorrow he won't have anything left to win with. The voiceover slow, like the turning of something large and inevitable. Some fights you win with your fists. Some fights you win with patience. And some fights, the ones that matter, the ones that actually change something, you win by making sure the truth has nowhere left to hide. Grant Harlow had spent years making sure the truth stayed quiet. He was about to find out what happens when it finally gets loud. Wade Riker arrived before dawn. 2 bikes. No headlights on the last mile, just the sound of engines cutting through the rain-soaked dark, pulling up to the side gate, quiet enough that only Cole heard them. Wade was broader than Cole, grayer at the temples, with the kind of face that had stopped being surprised by things sometime around his mid-30s and never started again. He swung off his bike, looked at the bullet hole in the garage door, looked at Cole. You look terrible, he said. Grant Harlow paid us a visit, Cole said. I heard. Wade looked at the house. She okay? Still standing. Good. Wade pulled off his gloves. So what's the play? Cole told him. Wade listened the way Cole listened, without interrupting, without the face that meant he was already forming objections. When Cole finished, Wade was quiet for a moment. Then, Maya Reeves. You know her? Know of her, Wade said. She's been building a case on Harlow's company for 2 years. Campaign finance. Offshore transfers, shell companies running through 3 different states. He paused. Word is he got close to burying it last spring. Somebody made a call to her captain. She got pulled off, officially. Unofficially? Wade looked at him. She's still digging, he said. On her own time. With her own money. Cole nodded slowly. Then she needs what we're going to get her. The voiceover, even and low. There is a moment in every fight, if you're paying attention, where the nature of the fight changes. Where it stops being about surviving tonight and starts being about making sure there is no next tonight. This was that moment. They met Maya Reeves at a diner 40 miles outside Red Rock Flats. Noon. Corner booth. She was already there when they arrived. Coffee in front of her, both hands around the mug, eyes on the door. Late 30s. Sharp in the way that comes from years of watching people lie to her face and learning to see through it before they finished the sentence. She looked at Cole, looked at Wade, looked at the folder Cole set on the table between them. "You're either very brave or very stupid," she said, coming to me directly. "Grant Harlow tried to take a pregnant woman out of my house last night," Cole said. "I'm past the part where I worry about being subtle." Maya looked at him for a long moment. "What do you have?" "Right now, nothing you can use in court." Cole leaned forward. "But his company keeps a private server. Warehouse near the rail yard outside Las Vegas. Everything is on it. The offshore accounts, the payments to Sutter and his people. The campaign contributions that were never reported." Maya's expression didn't change, but something behind her eyes did. "How do you know that?" "Because the man who built his security system needed a new transmission last winter," Danny said from the end of the booth. "People talk when they think nobody important is listening." Maya looked at the table, turned her coffee mug once in her hands. "If you go into that warehouse," she said carefully, "anything you bring me is inadmissible." "Not if you get there first," Cole said. "Not if what we find gives you enough for a warrant. You get the warrant, you go in clean, you pull it yourself." He paused. "We just need to tell you where to look." She looked at him a long time. "You understand what you're walking into," she said. "It wasn't a question." "We understand," Cole said. She picked up the folder, opened it. "Read the first page, then the second. Set it down." "I'll have a warrant application ready by morning," she said quietly. "Don't get yourselves killed before then." The warehouse sat at the edge of the rail yard like it was trying not to be noticed. Low, dark, no signage, the kind of building that looks abandoned until you realize the locks are new and the cameras are newer. They went in at 2 in the morning. Cole and Wade through the east side entrance. Danny on the outside covering the yard. The Silver Peak boys at the perimeter, 4 of them, quiet, positioned without being told twice. The power went down at 2:03. 30 seconds of total darkness. Then the emergency lighting kicked in, red and dim, casting everything in the color of a warning. Cole moved through the ground floor fast, past crates with company names that didn't correspond to any real business. Up the stairwell. Second floor. The server room door had a keypad lock. Green light, which meant the backup power was running it. He worked the bypass in under 40 seconds. The door opened. Rows of drives, all of them, humming, a monitor still running on emergency power. Screensaver cycling through images of Grant Harlow shaking hands with politicians at fundraising dinners. Cole plugged the drive in. Maya's voice in his earpiece. She had patched in from a parking lot 3 miles away, listening. "You're in?" "In," he said. "Top left partition. Folder called Operations Archive. That's where he keeps everything he thinks nobody will ever see." Cole found it in under a minute. The transfer started. The voiceover, quiet. The kind of quiet that means something is happening that can't be undone. 2 years Maya Reeves had been building this case. 2 years of her own time. Her own money. Her own reputation on the line. Every single day she kept going after a man powerful enough to make careers disappear. And here, in a warehouse at 2 in the morning, the thing she had been looking for was finally moving toward her. 1 file at a time. 60%. 70. 80. Danny's voice came through low and fast. "We've got movement. East side. 2 men coming from the parking structure." "How long?" Cole said. 90 seconds. Maybe less. 90%. Cole watched the screen. Back at the ranch, Sarah was awake, sitting in the kitchen, both hands on the table, waiting for a sound she couldn't name, something that meant it worked, that it was over, that she hadn't gotten these men killed for nothing. "Come on," he said under his breath. 95. Footsteps on the stairwell. 100. He pulled the drive, crossed to the window, looked down, 12 feet to the roof of the loading dock below. He went through the window without hesitating. The landing was hard. He rolled, came up moving, drove straight toward the perimeter where Wade was already pulling a bike out of the shadows. Behind them, shouts. A shot that went wide and hit a chain-link fence somewhere in the dark. Then engines. The kind that don't apologize for themselves. And the warehouse, with everything it had been hiding, disappearing in the mirrors. The voiceover steady. She had gone to the police. They said no. She had gone to a lawyer. He said too expensive. She had gone to everyone who should have helped. And then she went to the one place nobody expected. And the people nobody expected went and got the evidence that 2 years of official investigation couldn't touch. Sometimes the system needs help from the outside. Sometimes that's the only way the truth gets through. The warrant came through at 6:47 in the morning. Maya called Cole from the courthouse steps, voice tight, and controlled the way people sound when they have been waiting a long time for something and are trying not to let the relief show too much. "We're in," she said. "Federal. They went over the county's head, which means Sutter and his people can't touch it." Cole was sitting on the porch with coffee going cold in his hand. "How long?" "They move on the warehouse this morning. His offices by noon. The estate by tonight. If the first two go the way I think they will." A pause. "Cole, the operations archive. It's everything. Payments to 9 county officials, 3 judges, a state senator, campaign contributions routed through 4 shell companies over 6 years." Another pause, smaller. "And Earl Sutter. 17 payments over 3 years. The last one dated 4 days ago." Cole said nothing for a moment. "He's done," Maya said. Quiet, certain. "The way you say something you have been waiting 2 years to say and are only now letting yourself believe." Cole set the coffee down. "Make sure it sticks," he said. "That's my job," she said. "You did yours." She hung up. The voiceover, slow. 6 hours later, the news vans were parked outside the Harlow estate, 3 deep. Grant Harlow was escorted out of his own front door in handcuffs at 12:17 in the afternoon. No jacket, no prepared statement, no lawyer standing beside him making it look manageable, just a man who had spent years making himself untouchable, finding out, in front of cameras, what untouchable actually costs when the bill comes due. They brought him to the federal courthouse in Las Vegas, and that was where it went wrong. Not the case. The case was solid. Maya had made sure of that. It was the transfer. The moment between the building and the vehicle. The 30 seconds where procedure requires movement, and movement creates gaps. Grant Harlow had spent 20 years buying gaps. He came through a side door, fast. A deputy who owed him one last favor, a moment of confusion in the crowd of press and onlookers, a gun that appeared from somewhere that nobody was watching. Sarah was outside the courthouse with Elena. She shouldn't have been there. Cole had told her to stay at the ranch. She had looked at him and said, "He took 3 years from me. I'm going to watch this." He hadn't argued. Because for the first time, the decision was entirely hers. Not running from something, running toward it. Eyes open, on her own 2 feet. That's what 3 years of surviving teaches you. How to finally stop asking permission to live. She saw Grant come through the side door before the agents did. Their eyes met across the courthouse steps, and for one long second, the whole world went very still. Grant raised the gun, the voiceover, stripped to nothing. 3 years. Every door closed. Every person who looked away. Every morning she woke up and made herself smaller so he would have nothing to aim at. 3 years of that. And here he was, still aiming. Cole moved before the thought finished forming. He crossed the distance between them in the time it took Grant to find his footing on the steps, shoulder into Sarah. Driving her sideways and down, the shot going off above them and taking a piece of marble railing instead of anything that mattered. They hit the ground together. Cole felt it in his shoulder, not the bullet, the fall. Something tearing that he would deal with later, possibly in a hospital, possibly not. He got his feet under him, got Sarah up. "I'm okay," she said immediately. "I'm okay, the baby?" "Check," he said. She pressed both hands flat against her stomach, felt, waited, a kick, strong, indignant, almost like the baby was registering an objection to the general chaos. "He's okay," she breathed. "He's okay." Behind them, shouts, agents converging, the sound of Grant Harlow being taken down on the courthouse steps by 3 federal agents who were done being gentle about it. Then quiet, the particular quiet of something being over. Maya appeared beside them, looked at Cole's shoulder, the way he was holding it, the set of his jaw. "That needs looking at," she said. "Later," he said. "Now," she said, and the tone left no room for negotiation. The hospital waiting room was beige and fluorescent, and smelled like every hospital waiting room in the world. Antiseptic and waiting, and the particular anxiety of people sitting with things they can't control. Cole sat with his shoulder wrapped, a paper cup of bad coffee in his good hand, staring at the middle distance. Danny came in from outside, sat down beside him, didn't say anything for a moment. Then, "You know they're going to want to talk to you about the warehouse." "I know," Cole said, breaking and entering. "Obstruction, depending on how the DA feels about it." "I know," Cole said again, same tone, not dismissing it, just already past the point of being surprised by it. Danny looked at him. "Was it worth it?" Cole looked at the paper cup in his hand. From somewhere down the hall, muffled through 2 sets of doors and the general noise of a busy hospital, the sound of a newborn crying. Sharp, clear, absolutely certain of its own existence. Cole closed his eyes, opened them. "Ask me again in about 10 minutes, he said. The voiceover, quiet as a hand on a shoulder. He knew what was coming. The questions. The paperwork. The conversations with lawyers that would take months and cost money he didn't have and go in directions he couldn't predict. He knew all of that. And he sat there in that beige waiting room with bad coffee and a shoulder that needed more attention than he was giving it. And he didn't regret a single thing, because down the hall, past 2 sets of doors, the thing he had been moving toward without knowing it for 3 years was making itself known to the world. Loud, clear, alive. Some things you pay for, and some things you'd pay for twice. James Cole Calloway was born at 4:52 in the morning, 7 pounds, 9 ounces. Lungs that announced themselves immediately and without apology. A face that looked, in those first minutes, like it was still deciding what it thought about all of this. Sarah held him and didn't say anything for a long time, just looked at him. Counted his fingers the way every mother counts fingers, not because she expected anything to be wrong, but because this was real and real things needed to be confirmed slowly, carefully, with your own hands. 10 fingers, 10 toes, here, safe. Elena was in the corner of the room, crying quietly into a dish towel she had brought from the ranch, for reasons she couldn't have explained and didn't need to. Danny stood beside her with his arm around her shoulders, looking at the baby with the expression of a man who has seen a lot of hard things and is grateful, in this moment, for something that isn't. The voiceover soft. She had spent 8 months being afraid of this moment. Not of the birth, of what the world her son was being born into looked like, whether it was safe enough, whether she had done enough to make it safe enough. She looked at his face and understood, for the first time, completely, that she had. Cole came in an hour later, shoulder properly wrapped now, arm in a sling that he was already treating as a minor inconvenience rather than a medical instruction. He stopped in the doorway the way he always stopped in doorways, taking in the room before entering it, old habit never quite switched off. Sarah looked up. "You should be resting," she said. "So should you," he said. He walked to the chair beside the bed, sat down, looked at the baby in her arms, that same quality of attention he gave everything, unhurried, complete. "He's got your eyes," he said. Sarah laughed, quietly, so as not to startle the baby. "You can't possibly tell that yet." "I can tell," he said. She looked down at her son. "James," she said. "His name is James." Cole nodded. "And his middle name," she said, not looking up, "is Cole." The room was very quiet for a moment. Cole said nothing, just looked at the baby. Something moved through his face that he didn't try to stop or hide, which, for a man who controlled most of what showed on his face most of the time, meant more than any words would have. The voiceover, barely above a whisper. He didn't say thank you. She didn't say you're welcome. Some things don't need the full sentence. A nurse came in, checked the baby, smiled at everyone, left. The room settled back into its quiet. Sarah shifted the baby carefully to her left arm. With her right hand she reached up, slowly, without drama, without announcement, and looked at the ring on her finger, the gold band, the single diamond. The thing she had been wearing so long, it had left a mark on her skin even when it wasn't there. She looked at it for a moment. Cole noticed. He always noticed. He said nothing. He had learned, somewhere along the way, that this was her moment, not his to comment on, not his to hurry. She took it off, didn't throw it, didn't make a speech about it. Just set it quietly on the bedside table, the small sound of metal on laminate surface, somehow carrying more weight than it had any right to. Then she put her hand back on her son. The voiceover. 3 years she had worn that ring, through everything it came to mean, everything it stopped meaning. Through every morning she looked at it and felt something that wasn't love anymore, but didn't have a name yet. She took it off in a hospital room at 6 in the morning, with a newborn on her chest, and a man in the corner who had taken a bullet, well, a fall, and that shoulder would remind him about it for months, because he refused to let history repeat itself. She didn't need a ceremony for it. She didn't need a speech. She just put it down and picked up her son instead, Cole reached into his jacket pocket, took out the pendant, brushed steel, a pair of wings, the word AFA engraved on the back. Always, forever, forever, always. He held it out. Sarah looked at it, then at him. For him, Cole said, when he's old enough to understand what it means. She took it, held it in her palm alongside her son's hand, the pendant bigger than his whole fist. What does it mean? She asked. Really? Not the official version? Cole thought about it for a moment. It means you don't leave people behind, he said. Doesn't matter who they are. Doesn't matter what it costs. You see someone who needs standing with, you stand with them. He looked at the baby. Teach him that, he said. Everything else he can figure out as he goes. The voiceover, slow and clear. She came to a bar in the middle of the night with $40 and nowhere left to go. She asked for help from men that everyone told her to stay away from. And what she found on the other side of that door, on the other side of all of it, wasn't just safety. It was proof that the world still had people in it who showed up. Not because it was easy, not because it was safe, not because there was anything in it for them, just because someone needed standing with. And they stood. Cole left an hour later, no long goodbye, just a hand briefly on her shoulder, a look at the baby one more time, a nod to Danny and Elena. Then boots in the hallway, growing quieter. Then the sound from the parking lot below, drifting up through the open window on the morning air, of a Harley starting up, that low, steady rumble, like a heartbeat that had found its rhythm again. Sarah listened to it fade down the road. Her son made a small sound against her chest. She looked down at him. "That's Cole," she said softly. "Remember that name?" The voiceover, quiet as the last thing said before sleep. He didn't ride away because he was done. He rode away because that's what men like Cole Riker do. They stay until the thing is finished, and then they go find the next thing that needs finishing. Somewhere out there was someone else at the end of their rope, someone who had knocked on every door that should have opened, someone who had run out of places to run. And somewhere on a desert road, a man on a Harley was already, without knowing it yet, heading in their direction. Because that's the thing about people who show up. They don't stop. They just keep going until the world has a little less darkness in it than it did before. And maybe, if enough people decide to be that, it actually does. Stories like Sarah's happen more than we want to believe. And the people who show up, they're rarely the ones you expect. If this story stayed with you, it was meant to. Tell us in the comments, who in your life has ever shown up for you when you had nowhere left to go? Just one person, one moment. We read every single one. If you're new here, welcome to Heart Tales. Every week we bring you stories about ordinary people who do extraordinary things when it matters most. Hit subscribe so you never miss one. And before you go, there are 2 more stories waiting for you on screen right now. We'll see you there.